Hey guys, thanks for joining me. So today it's a variation on a sticky toffee. A couple of weeks ago I tried a gingerbread, ended up just being too dry. So today I'm going to use a sticky toffee pudding recipe, but then incorporate the ginger. So at the end of it we get that nice moist texture. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it up above, a parsnip ice cream, and that's working its magic now, coming down to temperature. So we're going to pair it up with that one. So let's get into it. I've got all my ingredients weighed out. I've got 200 grams of dates in 200 mils of boiling water that's cooled, dark brown sugar, ground ginger, vanilla, a couple of eggs, figs are going to go in there, crystallized ginger, butter, black treacle, and 150 grams of sieved flour. I'm going to put the quantities down in the description so you've got them there, and then after that we're going to make the sauce. So to get started, I'm going to use this. There's a paddle in there, and a couple of eggs are going to go in. And my butter. So you can drop that in, and then we're going to whisk that. And in the meantime, we're going to blend these so they're smooth, and then for the texture, I'm going to add the figs in there. So normally with those, you're going to get a little bit of crunch also. So they can go into the mix, and then we'd do these. Okay, they're well combined, so I'm going to go in with the dark sugar. So that's combined nicely. So in here I've got my dates, and I'm just going to go in with my vanilla extract. So it's going to use, I would use 1 pod. It's got 1 teaspoon of this. It's a touch more. And then I also want to put in my crystallized ginger to make sure that it's completely broken down, and also a teaspoon of ginger powder can go in there. And I'm just going to add my 2 tablespoons of black treacle straight into this mix. So 1 and 2. Lid on and blend. Wow, the ginger in there is intense. So this mixture now can go straight in to this one. Drop that down. Just get all of that incorporated. And then we can go in with the flour. So this flour has already been sieved, so just on a low speed add it. If you add it on a high speed, it just ends up everywhere. And then while that's working, we can just preheat our oven to 180. And then we can chop these figs up so they can go in. Okay, so these things are ready. Just scrape the paddle. Just a bit of flour that's caught on the side that we just need to knock in. And then just drop in my figs. Give those a mix in. Just make sure everything that's up the sides is scraped down, so there's nothing stray. And then grab a tray, and we can just grease that. Little touch of butter, just to make sure it doesn't stick. can go straight in, and this should take between 30 and 35 minutes in the oven. And then all we need to do is make up our sauce. This is going to be good. So that can go straight in the oven. Just going to put it into the middle of the oven, so I don't want it too close to the top. And then we're going to check back in 30 minutes on that one to check it. Maybe it needs a few more. And then in the meantime, we're going to make up the sauce, and then the ice cream will be ready, and it will be really soft as it's come straight out the churn. So we can see how it is. So a quick clean down, and then we'll make up the sauce. Okay, so to make the sauce, we've got everything weighed out. I've got 150 grams of dark brown sugar, 75 grams of butter. Going to use some treacle, and then 100 mils of cream. So just fire up the pan, and the sugar and the butter can go in. And also we can add in a tablespoon of treacle. So when they've all melted, then we can throw in the cream, and that's pretty much it. So it's super quick and easy. Just don't do it too quickly, because you want everything to melt before the sugars catch. So melt it down slowly. Once the butter's melted, then you're good. You just don't want the sugar caramelizing before the butter melts. So just be really careful with it. Keep it on the move, especially the corners. You don't want anything catching. And whatever you do, don't touch this, because it will be, with all that sugar, it will be incredibly hot. So now it's started to melt, we can turn up the temperature, and then we can go in with some cream. Just give it a mix. And just reduce this. So as this cools, it will thicken. So we're just going to serve it warm, because I don't want it too hot, otherwise it will melt my ice cream. So we can just turn that off and leave it to cool. Okay, so my pudding has been in for 35 minutes. So I'm just going to give it a knife test. And I just go in where their cracks are already, so not to create any more. And it's slightly sticking, but as it's a sticky toffee pudding, that's the idea. So I'm just going to leave it here for 10 minutes before I turn it out, and then we'll turn it out onto the cooling wire, and then while it's still warm, we'll plate it up and put it with that parsnip ice cream. So I think they're going to work really well together, but let's see how it goes. So this is sat here for 10 minutes, so I'm just going to turn it out onto a plate, and then I'll put it onto the cooling rack. So looks good, and then just onto the rack to cool. And then I'm going to leave that until it's pretty much just slightly warm, and then we can portion it up. All right, so let's just transfer this to the chopping board, and then let's portion it up. So is a nice log. So if you want a completely straight edge, just leave it to cool. To room temperature. This is really, really soft. So could probably do with cooling down a bit more, but that piece. I'm going to, off the plate, I'm just going to brush the top of it with a little bit of the sauce and spread that over. And then that will allow the crumb, this is just crushed up ginger biscuits, and this is going to hold the parsnip ice cream in its place. So we can just pile that on, and then we can transfer it to the plate, and that way all of this crumb is not going to fall off onto the plate when we're plating it, so it will just look much nicer. So move you back there, bring the plate in, touch of sauce on the bottom, put that in the middle, and for the rocher we just knock this off and then drop that on top of the crumb, and that way that crumb will hold it in place. So that's it. Okay, so I was busy taking photos and the ice cream is pretty much melted, but obviously I've tried it. So get a bit with the crumb on, ice cream, all of it in one. It is super sticky, actually. So that's exactly what I was looking for. As a couple of weeks ago I tried doing a gingerbread version, and it was just too dry. So that is really sticky, and the parsnip actually comes through on a really good level. So no changes on the parsnip front. Maybe if you had a lighter dessert, then you would have to reduce the amount of parsnip, but for that it's actually got a really good flavour. So not too sweet, got the ginger, nice levels of ginger. I like that, like the crystallized ginger rather than just using the powder. So puts a different flavour in there to what most people are used to. So very simple to plate, pretty much exactly what I was looking for, but just wanted to find out how that parsnip ice cream would pair up with it. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, all of that stuff, and until the next one, have a good one.